This morning, we're joined by Earl Evans, Métis. He has lived and worked his whole life in Fort Smith area, has an extensive background in hunting and trapping, and is working hard to keep alive the many traditional ways by passing on his knowledge to the young people of the region. We'll get to Earl in a little bit. But right now, joining us, we have Sarah Brown, the CEO of the NWT Association of Communities. Sarah has been working with and for community governments for over 30 years. She proudly represents all 33 members of the NWT Association of Communities, who works to serve our communities by addressing common issues, delivering programs, and exchanging information. So we'll hear from Earl in a little bit, but to get us going in our visioning section of our agenda, we'll go to the CEO of the NWT Association of Communities, Sarah Brown. And the virtual roundtable is all yours.
Thanks very much. Really happy to join this group. Already hearing lots of great things today. So first of all, we got involved in the issues surrounding food as part of our partnership with health. We designed a program focusing around the importance of on the land and traditional foods as healthy foods. And that was a really hard sell for us with some of the funding agencies, but I think we got there. It's just, it was a new concept. So we did some work around healthy and traditional foods. First of all, focusing on what community governments can do. So that might be healthy foods and traditional foods and things that they host, like day camps, at events and feasts, how they can focus on and support community gardens. And that could take a really broad range. We also then talked about, we also have a built environment guide. So how do we, as communities, foster those community gardens I was talking about, designating land for agriculture as well, walking and accessibility trails, and then finally access onto the land being designed right into our communities. So whether that's trails or snowmobile trails, that sort of thing. I think most of you are going to see our traditional foods coloring book as well. We're very excited about the interest that there has been in that, and really happy to see that that most of you are going to get one of those. Yes, thank you. And just that's seeing a lot of traction, and really happy to see that. On the advocacy side, we also, so about doing things with elders and the importance of that. On the advocacy side, we have also worked around traditional foods and institutions. We had some resolutions around that. Really happy to see many aspects of that happening. Also too, on Nutrition North, that it needs to subsidize traditional harvests. If they're going to be subsidizing beef in the store, they need to be subsidizing the traditional harvest. And so we have seen some movement on that, and looking forward to seeing some more. And we continue to dive in on the other social determinants of health. But we've really transitioned to another way to look at food security, and that is as part of climate change. And that really came out of our climate change forum, which we hosted in 2018. And what really came out of all of the discussions around food security was the importance, and I'm going to hold this up and you can find it, so it's not very clear, I apologize, but you'll find it on our toolkits under climate change, is the two aspects of food security that relate to agriculture and the other to the traditional harvest. And we're very careful. We do not want to impinge on the important work being done by others around the traditional harvest. But we do have our communities obviously expressing interest in access to the land, those sorts of things. And instead, we do a lot of our focus around agriculture and opportunities that are actually created by climate change. It's not all bad and doom and gloom. So we're doing some other work around the upcoming sessions at our AGM with some of our partners. So we're actually going to have a session about how to foster agriculture in your community. And we're already working with some of our partners the Chamber of Commerce and the Ag Association, and happy to see them represented here, and look forward to, we're going to be doing a little bit more design around that, and look forward to seeing how that fleshes out. We look at, you know, the bottom line is we need to be doing this collaboratively, and how do we make and look at these systems together? So if we don't do that, we are going to be wasting resources, and we need to look at them together, whether that's resources, approaches, research projects to ramp up agriculture. And so, for example, does something like fire breaks create an opportunity in your community? So you have to create that fire break, and some of them may be within municipal boundaries and some may be outside. But is there an agricultural opportunity that could take place in that fire break? Could you be growing berries? Something as simple as growing berries in your fire break. And does that create the opportunity for then the fire break to be maintained? Because that's one of the longer term issues with the fire break is its maintenance. You can go and cut it, but if you let it grow back, it doesn't serve its purpose. Things like, can fish waste, we're happy and excited to hear about the fish plant. Can fish waste be used to foster agricultural growth? All those things, these are all intertwined. Can changing hydro-G, so that's the movement of water below the ground, in fact, become an opportunity to reduce watering requirements? I was really excited to hear about the potato farmer in Norman Wells talking about if he got the right depth with his potatoes, that he didn't have to water, which is phenomenal for an agricultural operation to have to not to worry about that. So I think my bottom line message is, let's look at it all as a whole, and how do we move this whole agenda forward as a group? And as I said, some of the things that we see as negative, maybe perhaps are opportunities. So yeah, so we're really excited. It's a big part of our climate change work. It's a big part of our healthy communities work, and they're all intertwined, and we all need to work together as really we see that recurring message. So thank you very much for this opportunity to share where we're working and trying to focus.
Well, thank you very much for that, Sarah. It's really nice to see the holistic approach I think the Association of Communities has taken to learn about and to see, I guess, all the intersectionalities, the places where people can collaborate. That sounds pretty exciting. All right, up next, we have Earl Evans, and he's sitting here right beside me. It's been nice to sit and chat and visit with him during the break as well, too, learning a little bit about him and his work. So again, Earl is Métis and has lived and worked his whole life in Fort Smith. He's the chair of the Beverly Kaminariak Caribou Management Board. I apologize if my Dene vocal cords cannot pronounce that Inuit word, but I'm trying. So right now we'll move it over to Earl to share with us some about his work. Yep.
Good morning. Thank you for...
There we go. Green.
Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here today on some of the very important things that are happening here with this COVID and stuff. There's a lot of hardship being placed on a lot of people, and food security is a very, very big ticket item for a lot of people. A lot of people are having a hard time these days just to make ends meet, and wild game is a staple in most of the houses, and a lot of people are not being able to access these days. So any way we can help to assist people putting wild game and food and fish and natural products on their table is something we have to look at to try to improve that. I know there's a lot of programs out there that help us to access this game, these fish and stuff that we need, but there also is a lot of barriers to accessing that funding. I know my sister runs an On the Land program out of Fort Smith for the Northwest Métis Nation. And in order to get the funding to have these on the land camps where we're teaching our youth and our elders are out there demonstrating the skills that are slowly being lost over the years with our elders moving on, the ability to get that money to have these camps is very difficult. There's a lot of hoops you have to jump through. There's a lot of groundwork that's got to be done prior to getting that money. And some of the managers and people that are in charge of distributing this money aren't quite familiar how cultural camps and outdoor camps work. You have to know the logistics of how this all goes together. You know, we're using equipment that costs money. A lot of the equipment is supplied by local people. Nowadays, you pay $20,000 for a skidoo, 60 to 80,000 bucks for a truck. A sled is $3,000. So all this equipment has to be paid for by somebody, and most times it's by the local people. So when we have a program, we want to rent this equipment from the owners, but the government and the program managers are sometimes reluctant to pay for that. So I mean, if we're in a business world outside, we would have to pay for that at set rates. So I think we should have some set rates for these camps and stuff. So when the managers are looking at it, they can see the reality of what it actually costs to rent equipment, and they just budget that in, and then therefore the funding will flow more freely with all the less hoops and stuff you have to jump through. And I mean, these on the land camps, they're great. They're a great learning tool, and they're a segue to a lot of other activities that are related to our culture. I mean, you'll have a winter camp, and then in there you could have a language component. You know, you could teach the kids. You could have a fishing component, a dry meat making thing, berry picking. This all flows into on the land camps, and all this on the land camps does is it shows us how to gather food and hunt fish and do things that we are slowly losing the skills to do. You know, a lot of the younger people now are tied in with phones and internet, and they spend a lot of time doing that, and it's getting harder and harder to get these children and these youth out on the land. So these are some of the ways we can try to influence them and make it a positive experience for them. When they go out there, don't make it a negative experience, so they don't want to go out there and not go back again. Make it pleasant for them. Show them the reality of nature, of what's out there, what is good, what is healthy, what's wholesome for them. Show them the positive aspects of it, and there'll be more people, there'll be more youth involved, and more people want to go out there. I mean, when you're out in the bush, it's a healing process for a lot of people. A lot of people have a lot of things in their mind, and they're not well mentally, but being out there, feeling the wind in your face and the sun, it's just beautiful. To me, it's a real healing just to be out there. Whether you are out hunting and you're not successful, that doesn't matter. You're out there, you're enjoying nature, you're doing what you like to do, what you're supposed to do, what your ancestors have done. And it's slowly being eroded, you know, taken away by other distractions. So we have to try to influence our youth to take up what we're slowly losing here. I mean, there's all kind of things we can do. I mean, we could have a fishing, like when the fish runs on, we could show the kids how to fish the way we used to along when the run is on, and make dry fish. Same with in the fall when the moose hunt's on. Show them how to call moose, how to butcher moose, how to take a look after the meat, which is very important. I know a lot of people give meat away and it's not too palatable because it hasn't been looked after properly. the procedures of handling meat, how to butcher an animal, how to take an animal apart part by part and look at it and show them which organs to look at and what to expect when you see something abnormal. Explain to them what it is, whether it's edible, whether it's not. All these things are all components that should be explained to the youth so that they know in the future. And it's slowly being lost. I mean, the last 30, 40 years, we've lost a lot of our elders. A lot of knowledge is gone that we'll never ever see again. But the knowledge that we do possess now, today, we have to try to expand on that and not lose any more, because we've been losing a lot at a big, really low, high rate, more than what we're supposed to, and hopefully we can improve on that aspect of things. And I know there's a lot of hunters and hunter organizations up north. They have different ways of doing things. They have community freezers. They have people going out, and they have harvesters that are hunting for the elders that can't get meat themselves. I know in our communities, there's a lot of elders that like to go out, but they're not capable of going out. They don't have the equipment to go out and any way of getting it themselves. So people hunt for them. They give them the meat. And I know in Fort Smith at the Métis officer, we set up a program to feed the elders wild meat. So the harvesters bring in fish, moose meat, buffalo meat, whatever, all cut up. And every 2 or 3 days a week, they give meat to the elders. And it was so successful that we started splitting our kill and stuff with the local bands from Fort Smith. And even the non-Aboriginal people, they'd come there, they want a little piece of fish and whatever. So we included them in there, and it was a real success. So we had a hard time keeping the freezers full. And I know a lot of people up north are doing the same thing, but on a kind of a bigger scale. I know up in Nunavut, they have community harvesters. That's all these guys do. They have 3 or 4 guys in a community. They go out, they hunt, they bring in the meat. Some of them even have portable abattoirs that they bring the process of meat and give it out. And these are some of the things that some of this funding, I think, that's available. We can utilize some of that funding to do these things and get these kind of accessories and stuff we need to process meat and distribute it. And there's a lot more to it. Like there's the aspect of plant medicine. I know my sister did a big study in the South Slave where she did a 4-year study with the elders. This is 40 years ago. And she collected all the information, all the plants they use, when's the best time to pick the plant, what the plant is for, how to keep it, and all the properties of it. And these are from elders that have been using those plants from medicine from their ancestors. So this is very important information to hang on to and distribute and try to use more of it. I know 40 years ago, we don't have the health issues we have today. That's because people are not eating natural foods. They're eating more foods from the store and stuff that's not good for us. Before, everything was natural. The food we ate was healthy. We lived a healthy lifestyle, more outside, not so much inside. And so if we can provide food at a reasonable rate that people can afford or have access to it, I think we'll have a lot more healthier people in the communities and better life all around for them.
All right. Must see. Oh, yeah.
One item I'd like to let you people know about is we did the Beverly Kamanariak Management Board, we undertook a study to see the value of country food and what it means to the people. So we did a study on 2 herds, the Beverly Kamanariak herd, which we manage, and they estimated the replacement value of the meat that we took from those 2 herds, and was estimated at $20 million per year just for 2 herds. And we have 9 herds in the territories, not counting the moose, the buffalo, the bison, and all the other wild food. So our food is worth millions of dollars to us, replacement value. So when these big projects come out and there's people say, oh, it's not going to affect you that bad and all this. You got to take into the account the amount of it would cost to replace the animals and that use that area, and to really see the value of the animals. It's really hard to not realize what you have until you do a study like this and you see the value of it. I mean, it's in the millions, and it's also natural food, which is good. You know, this other stuff we're buying to replace it is not as good. So just an idea out there to show you what the cost of things are.
Well, thank you, Mussy, for that, Earl. Good food for thought, especially when it comes to the replacement value of all the caribou. Millions. We had some great ideas from Earl and from Sarah. Thank you very much for sharing a little bit about your insights, but also your work as well too. That's one of the reasons to have a gathering like this. Roundtable is to share best practices, to let people know what's going out there in different areas.